reviewing something on the channel that I've never reviewed on the channel before, a portable refrigerator. This is the new EcoFlow Glacier Classic, which is not a updated version or like a new version of their old refrigerator. This is a brand new refrigerator from EcoFlow, and it's got one like really big trick up its sleeve. Something that is going to make it wildly useful for me, this van, and just our life in general. This thing does come in 3 sizes, 35 liter, 45 liter, and 55 liter. They sent me the little one. This is the EcoFlow Glacier Classic 35 liter. Today, we are also gonna talk about the Wave 3 air conditioner, their new air conditioner. I've actually been using the Wave 2 as the air conditioner and heater for this van, but sort of off and on because it's a portable air conditioner. And when it gets super hot out, I would put it in the van, and then it wasn't super hot, I could just take it out of the van. And we'll get to the Wave 3 air conditioner, but first, let's talk about the Glacier Classic 35 liter. Wait, there it is. There we go. So today is a sponsored first look of this refrigerator and the air conditioner that we're gonna get to. Now let's start with the refrigerator. This is, like I said, the 35 liter. There's a 45 and a 55 liter. This whole thing, I think it weighs 45 pounds. There's side handles on the side. This is very, like, you can toss this thing around. One person can move this thing, no problem. Now, I've had a refrigerator inside the van for a long time, and you might wonder, like, well, why would you want to move it around very much? Well, it's because this one is not just a plug-in refrigerator. Right here, there's a door, open the door, push the button, out pops a 298 watt-hour battery system. So this refrigerator, while it's in the van, I can keep it plugged in, charging via my car, charging via solar, anything like that, keeping this thing fully running inside the van. But if I want to take this thing down to the beach, or I want to go to the pool, or down to a campsite, anywhere I want to take this thing, I can unplug it from the van, pick this bad boy up, and just go kind of wherever I want and have a powered refrigerator. That is awesome. Now, the 35 liter with that 298 watt-hour battery, I can get about 43 hours on this refrigerator. That is in refrigerator mode. It is obviously going to change with how hot it is outside versus how cold you're trying to keep this. The 45 liter and 55 liter are rated for 39 hours. We do have a little touchscreen over here, but this refrigerator is for sure best managed and best run by the EcoFlow app. The EcoFlow app is able to connect to this refrigerator, and I will also show you how it connects to the air conditioner. But I think, like, EcoFlow products in general, the app is amazing, has tons of settings in there, things that you can do with it, but I do have all my settings right here. The hinge on the top, also very clever. It has a hinge that you can open from this side, and when it closes, you can also open it from this side, and for whatever reason, maybe you're cleaning it, if you open both at the same time, the lid completely comes off the refrigerator. Also inside is a basket system for the large area and a drain at the bottom. You know, in case you get a bunch of stuff all leaking in your refrigerator, drain it out the bottom. Now, by far, one of the best reasons to have a fridge in your vehicle is something like this. I just went to Costco. I have tons of food, and normally, like, I would have to go home before I could go anywhere else. I would go straight home. We live 30 minutes from Costco, so everything in here, just driving home for 30 minutes, is in the back of my hot van. But I can take things like my meat and I can toss it in here. We got a good got a tri-tip here, toss that down, and all of this is going to stay refrigerated while I go run the rest of my errands today. We got some broccoli, might as well throw some veggies in here. We'll throw the eggs on top, green beans. Even the smallest fridge, the 35 liter, I got a lot of food in there already. What else needs to be in there? Oh, chicken and steak. I got more chicken and steak. Hang on. Some pollo asada and some carne asada. Definitely want to keep those cold. And some butter. We got the good butter, and I don't want it to melt on the way home. Let's put that on top. Look at how much food I'm able to fit in here. I got tons and tons and tons of food just in the 35 liter. And other than that, honestly, it's a good refrigerator. Like, I've used it for a few weeks now. I've been kind of keeping it in the garage. I've been keeping it in the van on warm days. Been running great. Again, very different from EcoFlow's first refrigerator freezer that had like an ice maker and all that stuff. This is much more of like a, I don't know, this feels more like a bang around, like more durable type of fridge, cooler, freezer. Okay, that is the 35-liter Glacier refrigerator from EcoFlow. Let's look at the Wave 3. This one I'm excited about, mainly because I had the EcoFlow Wave 2. I still have it right there in the van. And on super hot days, the van's air conditioning system, like even when the van is on, the AC cannot keep up to cool the entire van. So bringing in a portable air conditioning system allows me to get the cooling results that I want without having to mount a giant AC unit on top of my van. Because I live in San Diego, most of the time I don't need an air conditioning system in the van, but then on those super hot weeks, or if we travel up to Vegas or Utah, like somewhere we're in the middle of the desert, I can throw this thing into the van and then bam, I have air conditioning. We can talk about a few upgrades that the Wave 3 now has over the Wave 2, mostly being power. This is now a 6,100 BTU air conditioning system and a 6,800 BTU heating system. So the Wave 2 did heating and air conditioning, but the Wave 3 can now do heating, air conditioning. There's an auto mode, which is really nice. And now there's a dehumidification mode. The Wave 2 had 5,100 BTUs of air conditioning and 6,100 of heating. So this is both more powerful in the air conditioning modes and the heating modes. And again, now it has a dehumidification mode so that if you are super musty inside your vehicle, you can just clear out that must. Now, physically, they are not terribly different. From the Wave 2 to the Wave 3, a lot looks the same. Control systems are similar, although the Wave 3 does have kind of an updated system. There's now a drain button on here. That is a massive help. So now instead of the unit just self-draining, it has an internal reservoir that it will store water, and through the app will let you know when the internal reservoir is full so you can drain it. And then when you are ready to drain it, you can tip this guy up, hook a drain line into it, press the drain button, and then it will release that reservoir, and you can choose when to drain your unit instead of your unit just draining itself. Now, one thing that I was really stoked to see is that the input and output tubes on the Wave 3 are the same size as the Wave 2. So I picked this thing up for my Wave 2. This goes in my Sprinter's front window, and I can hook my input and output right here. These sizes from the Wave 2 to the Wave 3 stayed the same, although the tube did change slightly. Check out the new tube. The new tube is like silver lined and insulated. So it's now an insulated tube, which means that heat or cold through the tube, it's not really escaping. It's staying inside the tube and either being sucked in or pushed out your vehicle or tent, or however you have this thing set up. You can set this up outside of a tent, inside of a tent, outside a van, inside a van. However you want to cool, you can set up the inputs and outputs to do that. This guy just clicking on like so. I roll down the window. I get this up into this little channel right here. It kind of becomes the top. And then I very carefully, slowly creep. There we go. And there you go. So that is how I get those vents put into my windows. Then the Wave 3 now, used to be the Wave 2. Now the Wave 3 sits on my front seat, and I can run the ports up into those little exhaust vents, or draw and exhaust. But whether you are inside like a tent or a camper, you do need to be running tubes to the outside. And if you're like outside like a tent or something like that, you need to run the tubes into the tent. If you do want to make your own system, they do include this cardboard cutout inside the box so that you can have the diameters of both holes. So if you want to use this as a template somewhere, cut into your vehicle. I don't want to do that, but you could. All right, so that is the EcoFlow 35-liter Glacier Classic refrigerator and the new Wave 3 portable air conditioner system, heater, and dehumidifier. These two things are going to, actually this guy is going to live in the van for the most part. This guy, only when it's hot or super, super cold, will I be able to bring it into the van to use. But then when I'm not using it, I can keep it at home and not in the van taking up space. Because I don't want to cut any more holes in the van to put a giant AC unit on top that has to be there at all times. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And this is gonna be a hit at the lake. Throw this thing in the boat, take it out to one of the sandbars, throw it on the sandbar, and have a refrigerator all day. That's killer.